Welcome to Creepypasta. Please like, share and subscribe. This will help us make more content for you. Thank you.
Stranger warned me about my boyfriend. I don't usually post stuff anywhere, but I just remembered this story, and haven't got anyone to tell it to, so I thought I'd share it here. This happened years ago, but I still remember it like it happened yesterday. I was with my boyfriend at the time waiting for a bus on a really long main road. As we were waiting, I happened to see an old lady walking in our direction from ages away. Something about her really caught my attention. She was small and old, but was hobbling towards us so quickly, and with what seemed such purpose. I don't know why, but I just felt like she was looking straight at me, even though she was kind of far away. As she got closer, I noticed she was indeed looking at me with a warm smile on her face, slightly out of breath. Just full on staring at me. She crossed the road and walked straight up to me, as if she had known me for a lifetime. She put her arms on my shoulders, and told me, "You are the sole proprietor of your own body." She just stood there smiling at me. She seemed relieved, as if she made it just in time to give me this message. It wasn't creepy at all, just a bit confusing, and so I asked her to explain what she meant. She simply said, "Nobody can touch you, if you don't let them, my dear. It is your body. Nobody can put their hands on you, if you don't allow it." And just like that, she left. Literally that same day was the first time my ex was physically violent with me. This always stuck with me. Not saying she was an angel or something, maybe just a really batshit crazy lady, with good timing, but just something I never forgot. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. Edit. OMG, I just woke up at 3 a.m. and saw all these comments. I knew Reddit people were nice, but not this nice. Thanks for taking the time to read this and comment your thoughts or kind words.
What if this old lady was you, from the future? How cool would that be?
OP. It's a cool thought, alright. If I could go back to younger me, I'd probably just give her a hug and tell her to get her shit together, lol.
It is an interesting thing to think about. If your future self could warn you, what would they say? Because shifting how things happen could make so many other big and little changes. If I was warned and left my abusive relationship, would not have my second child. And that would make absolutely everything in my life totally different today. Thinking about it makes me sad, but if I never knew that child existed, there is no way to know if my life would have been better or worse. I learned so much from that relationship, and the relationship with my child, who is truly unique and challenging to parent, so I believe it has made me a better person, at least a whole lot more empathetic.
OP. The butterfly effect. I love thinking about this. I feel the same way, in that I wouldn't change the bad parts of my past because even though it was garbage, I love my life now. And I couldn't have had this life without that bad stuff, so yeah, I'm glad you're no longer in that situation and hope you and your kid are okay with all the madness going in right now.
My other thought is that the old lady could read auras, not necessarily a full-on psychic or medium, just someone who sees certain colors radiating from people. She could have seen an aura from your boyfriend that told her he was the kind of person to get physically violent, so she was warning you. Just a thought, although, I still tend to lean towards what other people are saying, it was future you. Or just a sweet old lady with solid words of advice, that ended up being very coincidental.
My wife spoke Norwegian. She only knows English. At 9 p.m., wife sauntered off to sleep, while I stayed downstairs to watch a movie. A couple hours later, I joined her in bed. While preparing for bed, I accidentally woke her. She looked at me and mumbled something that I couldn't understand. I said, "What?" She said it again, only with more clarity. I still couldn't understand it. I said, "What?" again, and again she repeated it. This happened a few more times, with her finally raising her voice, and getting irritated that she had to repeat herself so many times. She was saying something to the effect of, "Er baby in varn." I'm pretty good with languages, and I thought it sounded Scandinavian. So, I plugged her sounds into Google, and it came out as, "Are the babies warm," in Norwegian. We have 3 kids, and at this time, they were 8, 5, and 2. It's not unusual for her to ask me about the kids, as I'm going to sleep, but this was the first time it was in a foreign language. She speaks no other languages besides English. What kind of glitch would this be? Edit. Some folks have commented that the words I wrote above are too similar to the English. Another commented that this isn't even a Norwegian phrase. I wrote above that, she said something to the effect of, "This means that I cannot recall the sound she was making, but when I translated them, it was something like 'Are the babies warm?' It may have been expressed differently than how I wrote it above. I used that phrase for the purpose of telling the story. Remember, I made her repeat it several times, to the point she was nearly yelling it at me in irritation and annoyance. It was not garbled drowsy English. This happened.
Comments. I am not joking, same type of stuff like this happened with my friend 12 years ago, when I was around 16. Me and my then girlfriend were sleeping over my friend's house, in the same bedroom. Me and my girlfriend were awake, we were trying to wake our friend up, but she wouldn't. After a few moments of nudging her and whatnot, she rose up. Like sat up from sleeping position, with her eyes still closed. She then proceeded to speak in what sounded like tongues or something. It wasn't mumbling, it sounded like a fluent other language. Like you said, like some type of Scandinavian perhaps. She spoke like that for maybe about 5 to 10 seconds, and then passed back out. Me and my girlfriend were like, what the hell? It creeped the hell out of us. It sounded like she was literally possessed or something. We told her about it the next morning and she thought it was weird, but that was pretty much it. She wasn't studying any other languages and she only knew English. I still think about it a lot.
One thing that I personally find contradictory to the logic I use to understand the world, but has been documented multiple times all over the world, enough to even have an official name as a documented syndrome, although still extremely rare, is the foreign language syndrome. It can happen usually after a head trauma, a stroke, or other conditions and is basically people that suddenly speak in a language they never learned, from a place they never have been, often unable themselves to understand consciously the phrases they speak, sometimes losing the capacity to speak the language they have used all their life, like it was replaced, sometimes having gained a second language. It also can manifest itself by people suddenly speaking not a new language, but speaking with a strong accent, that can be identified as the accent of a specific origin of people that have learned to speak local language, but kept a distinctive accent. For example, a British lady that woke up with an Italian accent overnight, having never left her hometown all her life. I find that contrary to logic, because I can't find a way to understand how language could be anything other than 100% socially created. Humans invented words and make language evolve. It's not a natural occurrence we discover and use. It comes from us. But there is still undeniable proof that the brain can suddenly spawn the capacity to use a language it has never learned, not even heard before, in many cases in people specifically not very educated, not showing capacity nor interest for academic knowledge, having lived all their life in the same rural town, not even having a superior skill using their birth language. Where can that come from? I mean, waking up after a stroke with powers of telekinesis would seem more plausible to me than that. But it's undeniable that it happens, relatively often. Like, hundreds of documented cases all over the world, often.
He dies on Mondays. Here's a little backstory so you know where I'm coming from. Years ago I went to private school, which would have been great, but I noticed a few things that were off. I should have left well enough alone, but I didn't. Needless to say, I discovered the wrongdoings and became the target. I was mentally abused, locked in rooms and bullied into silence by a so-called holy man. I have not seen this man in 20 years. 2 weeks ago I was struck with the notion he was going to pass away. I look on social media to find he's been hospitalized. I call my mom and tell her I had a feeling he's going to pass away. The following Monday it is posted of his passing. I screenshot the announcement and make some phone calls. I send the picture to my brother, who asked me to remove the image because he doesn't want to see him, as we were all targets of his holy hate. 3 days later, I see a post asking for everyone to pray for him again, as he has been hospitalized. I read and reread the post. I go to look for the announcement of his passing from 3 days prior and it's gone. It's no longer in my screenshots. The conversation with my brother is still present, with the removed message tag from where I had sent the image, as the only evidence it existed. He passed away last Monday again, just like he did the following Monday. The same image was posted again, along with all the same comments of how he was such a great man, which I read all over again. So I'm not sure if this is classified as a glitch, or if you have double lives and you die twice. Once for the man you are, and again for the man they all thought you were. Comments. Does your family remember you telling them last week? Also, do you have any pictures from social media of this holy man? OP, yes, they all remember. I told roughly 20 people of his passing and they all remember. No, I don't have pictures of him. His obituary was the first time I'd seen his face in years, and it left me a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. They all remember too. That's crazy. I'm starting to think, maybe he reset his death or something. You said he's a holy man, but what if he's perhaps the opposite? You said you got a notion of his passing, maybe that was him starting to reset his death? Sounds dumb, but it's just a guess.
Do you have a creepy story? Please share it with us in the comments, and we will post it on the channel. Please subscribe. Thank you.